Sit your butt outside.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Tim live in Green Bay. Here to talk a little Packers this evening. Gents, how was our days?
Good. Beautiful out. Got a lot done. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Ditto. Cut some grass today like you boys. Had a blast. Little yard work therapy, you know?
Probably not as dusty up there, Tim. We haven't had rain in like months.
Yeah, we got a little bit of rain today for like, I don't know, a half hour and then it stopped. But no, it's not bad. I'll take it. Last little days of summer here as we get into fall.
It's true.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It's we have pretty much no humidity down here, which Emilio will attest. In the South, it just never happens. Mm-hmm. It is lovely, man. Absolutely lovely.
Nice breeze.
Yeah. Nice little easy breeze. I'll tell you what else is easy. That's going over and getting your tickets at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since 92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source. The office is next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. That's in Wisconsin, of course. Just click on the link in the video description. That'll send you over to theticketking.com where you can register for free as a customer. Go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. This is probably the last time they use us after that botch of a reading. But again, Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. We appreciate them. All right. First things first, just give y'all a little preview of what it's going to look like when Zach Tom gets a hold of Quiddy Pay this weekend here. All right. Coming up on Sunday at Lambeau. We just got back from the future here. Got some footage of it. Check it out.
Oh, shit.
Oh, sorry for that. Wasn't expecting that. Whose kid is this out here is what I need to know. This got to be a spoof, right?
Well, I mean, when you don't have a jersey on and you got a sweatshirt on underneath the pads.
Yeah, this must be the Father-Son Day at practice or something.
Slightly concussed.
Oh,
wow.
But in all honesty, though, man, Zach Tom looking like an absolute monster, man. Every year his game gets a little bit better. And I know we're just 1 week into the season, but boy, oh boy, did he show out on Friday night. Highest graded offensive tackles week 1. This is per PFF, okay? Zach Tom is the second highest graded tackle in the entire NFL. Number 1 is Charles Cross at a 94.8. Number 2 is Zach Tom at 92.0. Then Terran Armstead, 90.3 for the Dolphins. The Vikings, Brian O'Neill, 85.9. And then Lane Johnson, 84.8, which, Emilio, I know you got a little beef with them not counting that sack for our boy Rashawn Gary, right?
Yeah, I mean, Rashawn got the sack, right? But Lane never took it wasn't his fault. So, you know, we get a pass on that. So he's still the only tackle to never give up a sack or something. So
how is it not his fault, Emilio? Explain that to me, man.
Hey, I mean, I feel like you got to be ready no matter what, man. Your guy goes, you might as well move anyway. If you think it's a penalty, you moving is going to get the flag going if he draws you off. So I don't see why he wouldn't make the step.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious, man. And we're going to get into some of the pass rush and everything. And, well, you know what? Since we're talking about Rashawn Gary right now, I'm going to pull up a couple clips here and just share my Twitter page. And, you know, there's some people that don't think Gary is playing well. And we've had this conversation now for what seems like forever, right? And again, I understand he's not your Nick Bosa, that level player, nor do I expect him to be. But hopefully you guys can see this okay. On the left here, watch Gary. This is the sack we're talking about here on the left. And I guess because Lane didn't move quick, he even got hands on him, Emilio.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
You can't say he didn't engage that.
How does that not count as a sack against Lane Johnson? That is hilarious.
I don't know. Someone needs to do a little digging there. That could be a theory for Jacob to dive into there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, in the upper right, let's key in on this play, okay? And this one here, you'll see Gary bust inside, kind of a loop blitz. Look at him get back out. Look how quickly he chases down Jalen Hurts, forces the incompletion, right? Again, he's always impacting the game.
Yeah.
the knock has always been, well, he doesn't have the sack numbers. He doesn't have the sack numbers. Forget the pressures. He doesn't have the sack numbers. Okay, he got a sack. All right, we got a sack week 1, so we're on pace for 17 sacks this year. All right, so hopefully he finishes with a career high. But again, man, him looping inside, you could tell this was by design. You had an outside fit there. That guy drops into coverage, and look at Gary get back, man. Just a phenomenal.
Right. And we need that, and we need that in the 4-3, especially. I mean, if he's going to be on edge, and he's going to loop inside, we still need him to be able to get contained if needed on the quarterback. And love that he has that speed and explosiveness to do it.
Absolutely. And then this play right here, just another simple play. And this is what I was talking about in the tweet. I said, here are a few of Rashawn Gary's impact plays from Friday, including the sack on 3rd and 8. Also a nice job holding up the Y leak and still getting hands on the pass. So right here, you've got a Y leak. Watch him hold on to the Y just a little bit longer and occupy him, and then get to the quarterback and get his hands up. Again, lower right here. Just a great job. Completely. He slowed down the leak and then turned right around, rushed the quarterback, and batted the ball down.
Completely messed up the timing and was still able to make a pressure.
Yep. So I think Rashawn Gary is on pace to have one of, if not his best years as a Green Bay Packer. I'm really excited to see what he does this year. We're going to get into pressure percentage and stuff like that here in a minute, but since you brought up Rashawn Gary, Tim, you seen that play just now, that sack. How in the hell did they say Lane Johnson didn't give up a sack on that play?
I've seen it 10 times, and it boggles my mind. I don't understand how that works. But I'd like to, because whatever the explanation is, I'm sure it's pretty interesting as to why that's not a sack. But we all know that's a sack, right? That's sure as hell what it looked like.
It's in a stat column as a sack. He put hands on the guy. I don't understand it. I just don't get it, man. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I see NDA. I see NDA back in the house. Good to see Andy. Andy actually messaged me earlier. We had a conversation about Gary, and it's just I think what's going to happen with Gary this year, you're probably going to, if he stays healthy, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, I think you're probably going to be looking at somewhere between maybe 12 to 14 sacks is what I'm kind of seeing, just the way he's able to pin his ears back a little bit more. But there was another play that we showed last night, I believe it was, Tim. Remember the Edgerrin Cooper filling that run fit?
Yeah.
And you've seen Gary. He's on the outside shoulder and kind of a 5-tech.
Yep.
Pre-snap, shifts over, occupies a double team, pushes them both back, and allows Edgerrin Cooper to get into that gap and make the tackle.
Yeah, it's like he like half bull rushed one of them, and then he chipped the other one. Mm-hmm. And right. I mean, this is why it's a team game, right? And Rashawn is the type of player that can handle those things. A double team to Rashawn Gary is just it might take me a quarter second longer to do my job, but I can handle the double team. We see a lot of edge guys that, a double team is really effective against them. And Rashawn is not one of those. He knows what to do in those situations. And, talk about high FBI. Rashawn is a guy that's always been a student of the game and continues to get better every single year. And he's seeing things before they even happen. And that's where you want to be, especially, defensively. It's all about anticipating. You're already in a reactive state as a defender. If you can anticipate and see things coming, that makes you that much more deadly.
Right. Yeah. 3 assists, 1 stop, 2 hurries, 3 total pressures, and 1 sack. And man, and you're telling me Lane Johnson didn't give it up. Come on now.
Heard it from a fan right here.
I love it. 2-0 for this in the chat says Rashawn would probably have done more. He could have had better grip on the field. Another great point. There was a
field bad in Brazil.
What's that? What did you say, Tim?
Was the field bad in Brazil or something? I missed that.
It's the first I've heard of it. I'll tell you this, man. I was watching the All-22 earlier, and I really dove into like 5 or 6 specific players. And, boys, it was every play. There were people on both sides. Yep, That's why I don't like to even talk about it, because it's not like it benefited us and or benefited them and didn't hurt them. Like, you could tell it was on both sides of the ball. Every play, multiple people just slipping and sliding everywhere. Yep. So I know Kenny Clark was very vocal about it too. He said, I played in the snow, I played in the rain, I played on turf, I played on grass. I've never played on a surface like that. And what's crazy is there's people that are saying that it's the exact turf, the exact design that Lambeau has. I don't know if that's true, though, because Lambeau's got the the artificial, if it's still the same, for every 4 blades of real grass, there's 1 piece of artificial that go and loop in, right?
Hybrid field. Yep. Based off of, I believe they got that original design from one of the, I think it was like English Premier League soccer or something like that. That's kind of the basis for what they were doing. But, JJ Watt had an interesting tweet, a few days ago about that. I don't know if you caught that. He's married to a soccer player. He knows. He made the comment that, soccer fields are designed, for, that game. You got people that are lighter weight, lighter on their feet. It's a lot of running, jumping, those kind of things. You don't have 300-pound bodies slamming into the turf on a regular basis on a soccer field. And so I think JJ Watt's point was that may have been what we saw. It got humid there, and you had that extra layer of dew and moisture on the field like that, and it turned into a skating rink out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It says here that Corinthians Arena uses Grassmaster, which is a product that combines perennial ryegrass with artificial fibers.
All right, so it probably was then, right?
So
Okay.
there you go.
There you go. All right, let's go to the chat real quick. J. Cole had pointed out too, didn't Kenny say it was terrible? Yeah, Kenny did say that in an interview. Reese said, Gary impressed me for sure week 1. Andy said, amen to that. 12 to 14 be a career high. That would be phenomenal, man. 12 to 14 sacks. Hey, now we're cooking, right? Now we're cooking it, and you're seeing the one gap approach kind of show up, right?
Yeah.
2-0 for this says Rashawn would probably have done more if he could have got better grip on the field. We already read that one. Nathan Arthur in the chat said, good to see you, buddy. He said, am I the only one encouraged by the defense? Sure, we gave up a lot of yards, but the field conditions reminds me of playing in the snow. It's harder to tackle and play defense, especially the run game. I wouldn't say I was encouraged by the defense, Nathan, but I agree with you. It did kind of feel like that. You can see the guys kind of run. One play particular, I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but we watched it last night, actually. The play where Jordan Love rolls left and throws that ball off platform to Jaden Reed on the sideline, the way he rolls out of there, it looked like he was running on snow. Like he was kind of chopping his steps like, I'm not going to fall down right now, right?
Didn't he slip at the beginning of that play too?
I think he might have coming out of the gate, and then he just kind of got his feet under him. But, so now I will say this, Nathan, if we have time, we're going to jump into all the numbers from the team statistics through week 1 compared across the rest of the NFL where the Packers rank in every category. The run defense, solid. Run defense was damn solid. Our running game on offense, phenomenal, believe it or not. There's a lot of people that were, oh, man, this running game's still – how many yards are y'all expecting them to have per carry? I think we led the league in yards per carry, as a matter of fact. But we'll get into all that. The pass defense took a big step back, in my opinion. Run defense looked solid. Pass defense, again, it could have been the surface. We'll find out this week, right? Ron Sample says, Gary won't always have to face Lane Johnson. That's an elite tackle. They had a great battle all game. Completely agree, Ron. I think Lane Johnson is a slam dunk Hall of Famer. He's possibly a first ballot Hall of Famer once it's all said and done. He's got all the criteria. I mean, Emilio just said, Emilio, is that true? He's never given up a sack. Is that right?
Let me look it up. Let me just double check it to be sure. But that's like the talk is like the dude just absolutely never gives up a sack. So
gotcha. You don't have to check. It's okay, man. The other thing, too, is he's already got a Super Bowl ring. Check that off the list, right? So sometimes that can hold people up. Unless you're Joe Thomas, you're just an absolute stud on a crappy organization, right? That's obviously the story for him there. Reef in the chat, Gary is my guy for week 2. Everybody will be focused on Jacobs. I want to say this. We've got a poll question up here in YouTube. Everybody go vote for us. This is the question. Who is your pick to have the best performance in week 2 for the Packers, obviously against the Colts? The choices are Jaden Reed, Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, and Rashawn Gary. Right now, Josh Jacobs leads the way at 41%, Jaden Reed at 35%, Xavier McKinney at 9%, Rashawn Gary at 15%. So I read those out of order. Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, Rashawn Gary, then Xavier McKinney is what it's looking like here. So you guys make sure you get your votes in so we can get a definitive answer there before we wrap up. And 2-0 for this says Fields designed for 5'6" and 150 pound guys, not beefcakes. That's Tim. It's a good point, right?
Yeah, that's what JJ Watt was saying. It's one of those things. And hey, it can be hybrid field is not all the same, I'm assuming, right? You know, Synthetic fibers sewn in with regular grass doesn't mean that it's the same thing we have at Lambeau.
This is what I got for you, Tim. Technology. Grassmaster pitch is composed of 100% natural grass reinforced with unique synthetic fibers.
Wait, what did it just say? Say that again.
100% natural grass.
Yeah, go back to the beginning. It's called a what?
A Grassmaster pitch is
pitch.
Composed.
It's a soccer field. It's a soccer field. They called it a pitch. You don't call it a pitch in America. Come on now.
They call them high performance polypropylene monofilament fibers, HPF, produced in-house by a patented method. Fibers are injected 18 centimeters deep on a grid of approximately 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters to provide vertical reinforcement throughout the pitch. Fibers protrude 5 to 2 centimeters above the root zone surface. 20 million HPF fibers reinforce every single Grassmaster pitch.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
That's a good combo right there. All right.
Oh, you lost me at pitch. As soon as they said pitch.
I am not putting in the title soccer pitch talk. Okay, it's not going to happen. We'll do that on the podcast.
Grass fiber talk.
Let's talk about the pressure this defense created. Listen, the defense, in my opinion, they did not play good, but there were some positives, and that's how you kind of take everything, you take all the information, throw it in a bucket, and go, okay, what do we need to work on? What do we need to fine tune? How does that apply to this week's opponent? And that's how you come up with the game plan, right? So 33rd team tweeted out, teams with the highest and lowest percentage of generating a pressure in week 1. Highest percentage of pass rush snaps with the pressure. Seahawks, number 1 at 44.9%. Bengals, number 2 at 44.8%. Number 3, the Giants at 42.3%. And then tied for 4th were the Cowboys and the Packers at 42.1%. So the 4th highest pressure rate this in week 1 were the Green Bay Packers. We talked about Rashawn Gary already, right? Obviously had a phenomenal I wouldn't say phenomenal. He had a solid game. Let's just put it that way. Let's go to Devontae Wyatt here. I picked out a couple clips here, wanted to show of Devontae. And this is what I tweeted out. Packers defensive lineman Devontae Wyatt causing problems in the first quarter versus Eagles. All 3 of these are from the first quarter. Showed a ton of versatility lining up in a 2-tech, 3-tech, then a 5-tech in Jeff Hafley's overload front. Plenty of push and great reaction recovering the botched snap. Okay, let's start with this first one here. You're going to see him. This is actually the fumble recovery. Look at the overload we talked about, Emilio. You see it right here? You got Rashawn Gary wide 9. You've actually got Devontae Wyatt in a 5-tech, and you got Kenny in the 1-tech, all on one side of the field. You got your inside linebackers, or your linebackers, I should say, in this new nickel 4-2-5. They're mugging the line of scrimmage. You got Preston Smith off screen in a wide 9. Watch Devontae Wyatt, man. As soon as this botch snap, bang, look, he's on the ball quick. I mean, they never had a shot to recover that ball.
What I like about that is when they're all 3 stacked up, we're still opposite of the sidecar that's sitting at Jalen Hurts. So even if it is a handoff run, you're running into 3 of our D line instead of, the 2 stand-up backers 80%, 90% of the time, whatever.
Absolutely. What he's talking about there is that sidecar left of the quarterback, right from the defense's perspective. If you run the ball there, unless it's misdirection, you've got to come across the face right here. And I'm telling you, you're running right into the strength of that front. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. So, and you could run misdirection, but when you're mugging, those guys are probably dropping into coverage. I'm not sure if they blitz or not. Let's hit it here real quick. See what they. So they actually both did fire right there. Yep. Okay. So that looked like that was probably a cover 1 double fire is what that was. Just judging by everybody's reaction there and seeing X in center field. Yeah. So here's the next play that we're going to show of Devontae Wyatt. And if you'll notice, I don't know if this was technically called a pressure or not, but this is the interception with Xavier McKinney here. I'm going to let it loop one time here. And let me show you where he's at here. You see Devontae Wyatt. He's actually going to play a 2-tech right here. So he's going to be lined up directly over the guard. And they do a quick snap, which is smart. But watch Wyatt, no hesitation, bull rush. I mean, he really affected that right there. I don't know if it'd be considered a pressure or not, but he definitely affected that play.
What I liked was Kenny was all the way out on a 4-tech, maybe a 5-eye, all the way on the other side. So that pulls the center and guard over to Kenny. Let Devontae, eat on a 1-on-1, and it paid off.
Yeah, definitely.
See, Kenny,
that's definitely
almost over the tight end, actually.
That's definitely that wide front we were talking
Yeah.
about. So, yeah. And then the other play we're showing here is actually a 3-tech. So Devontae Wyatt played a majority of the 3-tech. You see him right here. Okay. So he's in between. Some would say a 4-eye 3-tech. I'm not going to argue over that. If you want to call it a 4-eye, great. But he's in between the guard and the tackle. Kenny played a whole lot of nose in the nickel sets. So, I don't know if you like that or not. You're putting your best defensive lineman facing double teams constantly, and you got Devontae Wyatt. It's almost like I would rather have Kenny in the one-on-one matchups, but I'm sure they see Devontae Wyatt as a bit of a what am I trying to say here? A bit of a weakness if you put him at a 1-tech, because that guy's got to be able to handle the double team, right? But again, on this play here, you see him definitely in a 3-tech now as he lines up. Little stutter move, bull rush, and once again, he's right in the quarterback's face. So Devontae Wyatt doing Devontae Wyatt things. He's great against the pass, and getting after the quarterback. We just got to shore up that run defense for sure. And what's crazy is, like, overall, they didn't have good run defense grades, from a player standpoint. But when we break down how well they played the run defensively compared across the league, it's pretty phenomenal, man. It really is.
Yes.
All right. Next, who else do we got here?
Real quick, just wanted to flash this chart up real quick. Just for reference.
Yeah.
And
what Tim's showing here, for those of you on the pod, he's basically showing all the techs. When you hear us say a 4-tech, a 1-tech, a 0, a 2-eye, all those things, we're talking about where the defensive linemen are lining up on the offensive linemen. The easiest way to remember it, if we got new listeners or new viewers here, is every offensive lineman has an even number attached to them. The center is 0, both guards are 2s, both tackles are 4s, the Y or the tight end are 6s, okay? So if you're lined up directly over the center, that's a 0-tech. Directly over the guard, it's a 2. Directly over the tackles, it's a 4, okay? If you're on the inside, if you're in between the guard and the center, that's called a 1-tech, all right? If you're on the inside shoulder of the guard, in between the guard and the center, that's called a 2-eye. If you're on the outside shoulder of the guard, that's a 3-tech. If you're on the inside shoulder of the tackle, that's a 4-eye. On the outside shoulder of the tackle is a 5. On the outside shoulder of the Y or the tight end is a 7-tech. When you get way out there, where if it was a double tight end set, you'd be on the outside shoulder of the other tight end, which would be the U in Matt LaFleur's offense. That would be a wide 9. Play a lot of wide 9 in this league because it does shut down outside zone, which is kind of taken off across the NFL. So another person I want to highlight real quick without spending too much time, Kenny Clark. I don't think Kenny had a great game by no stretch of the imagination. Here's one specific play, though, that I thought was kind of cool. You're going to see him. He's going to kind of get washed inside and then loop out, and watch him hustle and make this play on Jalen Hurts, who tries to scramble right. Just watch the recognition. You'll see Kenny get washed in. Right here, he's looking back. Now you realize, oh, crap, the ball isn't out yet. Look at this hustle play right here. Great job. So, again, Kenny making an impact, right? I don't think he had a great game. Here's the thing about Kenny Clark. To me, it's right there with Jaire Alexander, and I'm not going to try to be a negative Nancy, but you guys know I've been very vocal about this. The talk has always been, well, Kenny's facing double teams. Kenny's 2-gapping. Kenny's in a 3-4. Now we're in a 4-3. There's no more excuses, man. You got to see those results. You got to see that production now. For the money you're paying that guy, you got to. And it's not to say that I don't want him to get paid that money. It's just simply when you're allocating damn near 10% of the salary cap to Kenny Clark and then another 10% to Jaire Alexander, and Jaire Alexander's giving up 60-yard touchdown passes, and Kenny Clark isn't producing the way you expected him to in a 1-tech or in a 1-gap, I have a problem with that. Now, this is the thing I was trying to say all offseason. When you're in a nickel set, even if you run a 3-4 defense, when you go to your sub packages, which you're in 75% of the time, 80% of the time, you're no longer 2-gapping. You're now 1-gap. So there was a significant amount of 1-gap last year. And we all just kind of, not all of us, but many people were, well, no, he was 2-gapping. He was in the base. Yeah, absolutely. There may have been times that the run fit declared him to 2-gap in the nickel, but a large majority of the time he's playing 1-gap. We're in a 1-gap all the time now. So we've got to see that production from Kenny. We got to see it. Now, in his defense, they had him playing 1-tech. And what that 1-tech does typically is it puts you between the guard and the center. Therefore, by default, you're being double teamed, right? And when you put Devontae Wyatt on the 3-tech, we had a guest there for a minute. When you put Devontae Wyatt on the 3-tech, the goal there is you're singling him up. So I would like to see them rotate that a little bit more. But I'm sure in that game, they probably had Kenny playing that 1-tech, Emilio, in the nickel because they expected Philly to run the ball down our throat. And the reality is they really didn't do that. It's pretty cool. So it seemed to work.
Like you said, rotate it so that Kenny can get some one-on-one shots and not always having to draw the double team. I think that's why we need a little bit out of TJ. If we can keep him in there, on a second down sort of thing and still get a pass rush from Kenny, I'd like to see them, get into that. But honestly, I know that Hafley gave, I know we gave up 30 plus, but I think that's a perfect floor or, ceiling for how much Hafley's ever going to let that happen again sort of thing. If we put it all out on the tape and, he saw a little bit of everything. He's, he was able to run man, but got beat on some. I think, I'd almost hope that we never see that number again. Even if it's 33 points, I don't think he's ever going to, really let that team down like that. So that gets me exciting. You can always kind of look forward with it.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like, this is a new coaching staff. This is a new scheme. Again, you guys know, I tend to point out there's only so many defensive calls in the NFL as a whole, right? To pretend like when you switch a scheme, oh my God, things are so much different. That's just not real. It isn't. There's only so many defenses that are called across the league. And we could rattle them all off from man coverage to all your zones, to your zone matches and this and that. Now, what are they being asked to do? What's the technique they're being asked to play with? We talk about the fisheye technique that Hafley teaches and all those things. How much press, how much bump and run you're going to be playing. All those things do matter. But I just want to say I'm giving them 4 weeks. I know there's some people that are already done with this defense. Got to give them a quarter of the season because I'm guaranteed there were a lot of unscouted looks in that game against Philly, right? New OC, new DC, like that's tough. This week, you get kind of that scope zeroed in a little bit more, right? Because now you got Indy coming in, you got week 1 on tape. Their OC was there, or their head coach was there last year, which is essentially their OC. So you're good to go there. Their offense isn't going to change other than the adjustments they want to make. It's not going to be a dramatic change. So I think that they'll be a little bit easier to game plan against as opposed to what Philly was. But Philly they were really effective through the air. And again, I'm not going to continue to beat that dead horse. I know I've talked about it 1,000 times. Like every time we got burned, it was man coverage, and
yeah, it was this man right here.
I like Dennis Shook. Dennis Shook says fire Joe Barry. Exactly right, sir. So let's do this. Let's jump into some of the numbers. Well, first of all, we got a little bit of news. Let me hit this. Just a couple roster moves. We're going to hit these real fast. Paul Brettel tweeted out, Packers announced practice squad moves. Okay, so they released wide receiver Jalen Wayne and running back LaMichael Pirine. Okay, they're signing wide receiver T.J. Luther and tight end Johnny Lumpkin. Okay, they had a flurry of other tryouts, but those are the 2 changes here. With
who?
yeah, T.J. Luther and tight end Johnny Lumpkin. All right, not to be never mind. Anyway, so those are your signings. Just wanted to hit on that. Is there any rhyme or reason to this? First of all, fellas, this isn't nothing really good.
Cootie turning the bottom. Cootie, absolutely. He's gonna do it for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, man. That's what I feel like.
Just keep bringing them in and out. See if you can hit a home run. Right.
You always got to keep looking.
Got to keep looking. Got to. So those are your roster moves. Just wanted to hit on them real quick. Now I know there was some Jaire talk in the chat. There's still people pushing back. Again, when I heard the podcaster this week, and I ain't gonna say any names. It's not important, but when I heard him blame Javon Bullard for the big play to A.J. Brown for 67 yards, I'm telling you, I wanted to throw my headset across the damn yard. I was like, how are you blaming the single high safety and cover 1 man for that play? Because he over-pursued on the tackle. There's a select few that just refuse to acknowledge that Jaire got absolutely torched. Like, if you see it, you got to say it. And there has to be a fire lit. Not that he's listening to any kind of sports talk. We know they're not. But, like, something's got to change. It's got to, like, look at this right here. This came across the wire on Twitter. Stat accountant. I don't know who the heck he is, but I'll tell you, I'm sitting there trying to quantify what did we see from Ja on Friday night. Now, I don't want to go too hard in because, again, we just talked about you judge the season in quarters. But what you're seeing on this graphic is on one side you've got passer rating allowed, okay, and on the other side you've got yards allowed per snap, okay, on the field. Notice where Jaire is. Look on the far left, guys. Like he's below the median line for passer rating allowed, and he is he's the lowest as far as yards allowed per snap. That's the most expensive one of, I know, depending on what number you look at. He's one of the most expensive corners in the league. You got to get more out of him than that. You just got to. Because, I mean, I really believe, like, A.J. Brown, don't get me wrong, he is a solid number one wide receiver. But if this had happened to Corey Ballantyne, if this had happened to Eric Stokes, if this had happened to insert any other corner for the Packers, I'd go, that's A.J. Brown. But this is supposed to be a shutdown corner. And we've seen on tape, he followed him most of the night. That's what he's been won, you know? So, I don't know. You guys got any comments on that? I don't want to this to turn into a Jaire bash fest, but I just want to kind of put the visualization out there like, hey, this is, you know.
We're criticizing the play, not the player, right? Like we always talk about, you know, this is not about, you know, bagging on Jaire. You know, we love the guy, but, you know, the execution's not there and it's evident, right? And this is I don't know. I hate to say it, but it looks like he's kind of picking up where he left off last season, you know, and that's not what you want to do. And I understand, like, he seems to go off script and kind of freelance sometimes. For all we know, maybe they give him that latitude. You know, I'm not saying that's a fact, but you got to think if he's, you know, CB number one, he's probably got some freedom in that system to wiggle around a little bit, but it's tough to see that, man, especially when you're getting lit up. You know, yeah, he had the pick, but, you know, we broke that down already. That wasn't exactly a super positive. The only thing positive about the play was the interception. Everything before and after it was questionable at best. So I just hope he turns it around. You know, I'm not ready to write him off yet. I think, you know, like you said, you got to give guys at least a quarter of the season here to really get a barometer on what it's looking like.
Mm-hmm. And everything we talked about too, Emilio, like this new technique that Coach Hafley is teaching, it applies to Jaire too. Like everybody's got that curve, right?
Right. To that point, I mean, you see everyone is even Stokes, Keyshawn, everyone is below that median line for passer rating allowed, right? So we want to see them above that, and each of them are below it. So it's not just a Ja thing. It is, you know, could be scanned across the board. Even in that Kenny clip just a second ago, you saw Eric Stokes was in the hip pocket. He's the best corner on this board, looking at it like this horizontally, you know, only giving up about a half a yard allowed per. So I like seeing that. Obviously, all of them want to get better above that median line. But, yeah, it's tough seeing Ja at the lonesome, you know, over there on the left when you see is that Jalen Johnson up in the top right. You know, we just know Ja's better than that. So you know he's probably just frustrated with himself, you know, and just wants another chance to just get at it, right, to change those numbers. You got one game, all your numbers are 100% of that problem. So
yeah, and if he continues to create interceptions, all will be forgiven. Like that's huge. It's huge you picked that pass off. Tim, you described it perfect. Before it, garbage. Broke off of his whole assignment. Guarantee you got a -2. Gets the interception, great. And then after that, like someone pointed out in here, gosh, where was it at? I know I'm saying it right here. 2-0 for this. Says running out of the end zone is a rookie mistake. And he had teammates like, what are you doing, bro? Just go down on the dang ground. Right. What are we trying to do here?
And there was just so many bodies on that side of the field when that happened. So, I mean, I get what he was trying to get a spark, but, that was tough.
Usually if you're going to come out of the end zone there, you see a seam already and you're hitting it. As soon as you catch the ball, you're taking off. You're making up your mind in that instant, not dancing around playing rugby in the back of the end zone. That wasn't a good look.
Yeah. United Bates says, I don't mind letting Ja off the leash, but probably needs a shot collar.
But I mean, for real, I mean, you look at who was was it oh man, I can't think. The Cowboys corner that had 7 picks. I mean,
Yeah.
we dusted him once or twice, but dude was still like the best corner in the league that year because of it. So I mean, he's already working his way there, him and X.
Yeah. Brett McFarley, I said it on game day. He brought peanut butter to a jelly fight. So had to break out the oldie there. 2-0 for this. Says he looked uncomfortable trying to press at times. It's definitely Jaire said that. That was what was so frustrating last year. Everybody was raking Joe Barry over the coals saying you need to play press. And Jaire came out the first of the season was like, I don't like to play press. Reeves says Brown had 5 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown. So, yeah. And then Bates says, shout out Stokes, though. Hey, Stokes and Keyshawn, pretty solid game.
Yeah.
Pretty solid game, man.
Rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Macho Man agrees. 2-0 for this says, we need a corner who can shut down part of the field just by his presence. That's not Jaire recently. I'm glad you specified recently because there was a couple years there, 2-0 for this, that he was that dude for sure. Hopefully he can get back, man. Definitely, because you're getting into next year where he can become expendable. You know, you can actually start to free up money, probably get some draft picks if you wanted to cut bait. And here's the thing, like when you talk about a corner that shuts down part of the field, he's worth every dime. But if you're not playing up to that level, that money can be spent somewhere else, like in the trenches, right? Like that's where we got beat on Friday was in the trenches. Jalen Carter, did you guys watch the tape of Jalen Carter? It didn't matter who he lined up over. That dude is just a monster.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's him and Christian Wilkins. Those are the type of guys we're talking about. True 3-techs that can wreck a game plan.
Yeah. They got their first taste of real hitting again, real contact against another team, not just preseason. And it was a good wake-up call. They performed well. It was a back and forth. No one quit. It's time to sharpen up, though. Iron sharpens iron. And I think that's where Ja's like, all right, I missed Devontae a little bit just because he's not, that number one maybe. But I think that the amount of options that we have at our wide receivers can give them a little bit of that taste each, with their one spot.
Yeah. Both Jake G126 and Ron Sample, same comment here, basically says Nixon needs to fix his boards for hands so he can pick that ball off. Ron Sample said Nixon did drop the possible pick 6, though he did. And Tim, we seen it last year, right? Like all year long. We had 7 drop picks last year.
We talked about that. That was something that we wanted to see, improved. And I don't know. Only one game in, though, and hey, we know the circumstances, right? International game. We all talked about the field. We talked about the ride from the hotel to the stadium was a little longer than expected. I mean, there was all kinds of just not your typical normal, football game,
Right.
So week 1 could have been a fluke. I fully expect this team to rally and play together. Despite being down, QB1, I think we get a win on Sunday against the Colts, and we write our season and go forward 1-1, and have everyone just kind of relax a little. I was just as guilty as anyone. I was very hyperventilating after that debacle against the Eagles. But I think now you process things through and realize that this is what football is. You're going to get crummy playing surfaces sometimes. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys that you really need, that you depend on, they're going to have off days. You just got to bounce back week to week.
Yeah.
Right. And remember, it was the Eagles. They're a decent team. 18th fastest person was Saquon Barkley at 19.92 miles per hour. And the 4th fastest was A.J. Brown on his 67-yard touchdown at 21.5 miles an hour, 0.05 miles an hour. So they're athletes, right? They get paid too. So
Absolutely.
Right.
I think they're a good team. I do. They're built in the trenches on both sides. Both tackles are excellent on offense. Their interior defensive line is one of, if not the best in the league. They are built really well up front. They've got a quarterback that's fairly accurate. He's also a dual threat, although we kind of bottled that up. Like you said, Saquon's top 3, top 5 back in the league. And Tim, that play on the wheel route where we talked about McDuffie was just like 6 inches away from batting that ball down. Watched it back. Someone tagged me in on Twitter earlier today. Xavier McKinney breaks on that ball. He slips. If he don't slip, that ball's getting broke up.
Yeah.
so many things like that happen for both teams. But that specific moment, you hold them to 3 there, might have a different ending at the end of the game, right?
So true.
Reef says, I think we lined up wrong against the run at times. We absolutely did, man. There was a couple of different plays. One in particular, Quay Walker gets roasted because Saquon juked them out of his jock strap in the B gap. I mean, he absolutely just takes his soul, right? And that's still a -2. That's a -2 for Quay, no doubt about it. Right. But when you look at the hat count, it's like, holy cow. I mean, it was 3-on-3 plus 1, including the running back. Good luck winning that battle. The thing is, in that specific moment, Quay's got to aim. The target has got to be the outside shoulder of the running back. You can't get caught inside. You just can't. And I'm not saying he should have recognized. He probably should have, but I'm not saying he did recognize, oh, crap, our hat count's off here. Let me play the outside half. But nonetheless, man, he got cooked. It was tough to watch. It really was. And again, the Xavier McKinney interception probably doesn't happen if it's not for Quay, riding that number 2 down the seam in that Tampa 2 look. So he did some good things. It's just you got to button everything up.
Sometimes you just get caught looking. You get caught looking at their head and, or the chest, and man, the hips are where you got to be. And sometimes you want the ball, right?
Definitely. Yep. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. Man, that went quick, fellas. Holy cow. All right. Let's jump into some of the numbers, and I went ahead and pulled them. I think they're all updated. Every team is in the database here. So I just did screen grabs to make it a little easier. Let's go through team statistics and where we rank across the league, okay? First of all, let's start with offense. You guys can see that okay, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this is NFL teams' points per play. I didn't do points per game. I did points per play. It's exactly what it sounds like. How many points do you score per offensive play ran, okay? Green Bay comes in number 8 at 0.50. Okay, so right now in points per play, Green Bay is a legit top 10 offense. They're 8th. They're behind New Orleans number 1, Indianapolis number 2, Tampa Bay number 3, Buffalo number 4, Dallas 5, Minnesota 6, Kansas City 7, then Green Bay at 8. Philly comes in the number 10 spot. Does that surprise you guys, or do you guys feel like I came away from that game really impressed with the offense personally. And it's always amazing how after the game you can talk with people. We do our post-game show. I chat with people on Twitter, and we can have 2 totally different opinions. But I came away going, the offense played pretty well. The defense was what struggled, is kind of how it felt to me. What do you guys think about this points per play across the league? Again, just one game, but do you feel like that's kind of how Green Bay played, like a top 10 offense?
Go ahead, Emilio.
I think so. It was all looking rough, kind of at first. I think they were trying to, hammer it out, get some of that taken care of. But, Jordan played well. He obviously was rusty on some throws. I wasn't mad at the way Josh Jacobs was running the ball. Offensive line was pretty decent. Happy with Jordan Morgan. I think that, we were definitely, top 15. It's cool that we're top 8, but I'll take it.
Yeah, and again, that was offense points per play. What about you, Tim? Does that catch you off guard or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's depressing as hell to see the Vikings higher up on the list than we are, for crying out loud. But
they played the Giants, though, right? Am I thinking?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Speaking of teams without a quarterback, wow. But no, I think Emilio's right, man. I think I don't have a beef with – we talked about this last night. I don't have a beef with Josh Jacobs' performance at all. I think the line was a little slow to get going. I think offensively we seemed a little bit out of rhythm. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I don't know if I want to say fully out of rhythm, but it looked like they were still ironing out some kinks there early. And I don't think Matt LaFleur was super deep in his call sheet like he wanted to be. He seemed to kind of not really have a rhythm with his play calls early in the game, and then we started to kind of hit our stride there, halfway through the second quarter a little bit. But I think we'll see improvement. Offense is definitely our team's strong suit. Our defense is the work in progress here with a new DC and new mindset. But I'm not concerned by seeing this list. And like Emilio said, hey, we're top 10. That's a good place to be, even though we took the L in week 1. We'll just keep building on this. And, like you said, Clayton, we got week 1 tape now, and nobody's watching it more than the Packer players themselves. So I'm sure they see it too. They know where to start improving.
Yeah. And what Emilio said too, and we're going to get to the rushing yards here in a second, or the rushing numbers statistically. Josh Jacobs averaged 5.3 yards a carry.
Yep.
Like, make you mad at that.
What else can you ask for? Like, you got to have realistic expectations, right? So let's go to offensive yards per play. Some people are, okay, that's points per play. Let's go to yards per play. Look at this, boys. Number 1 in the league at 7.1 yards per play. They're tied with Kansas City with that number. 3rd is Indianapolis. All right. But we're playing this week, so just keep in mind. Now, listen, they made mistakes. I think Richardson threw at least 1 pick, and obviously their defense kind of crapped the bed early. There, some of these points were kind of make-up points towards the end, but Indy in 3rd at 7.0. 4th is Tampa Bay at 6.4. 5th is Miami at 6.2. Then Minnesota at 6.1. So you take that and offensive points per play, and you couple those together, and it gives you a good idea of, okay, now if you were to take those 2 numbers and grade out the rankings there. Obviously, the Packers coming in, 8th in points per play, and then 1st in yards per play. Borderline top 5 offense, right? I think it's, pretty realistic. So what do you guys think about offensive yards per play there?
Give me more of them. Let's be number 1 next week as well.
A lot of explosive plays, right? That's the reason that number's so high, and that's what you're looking for, those explosives. So
absolutely. And to see the Colts up there, number 3, they can, clearly move the ball. I think that's a testament to what we need to see from our team defensively on Sunday. If that defense goes out and has themselves a hell of a game, I don't see how we lose. I really don't. I think if you, don't give up 30-plus points to the Colts, I think, I have faith that Malik Willis can manage this game and we can put points on the board and get out of there with a win. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, that 7.1 average, that's the same as the completed air yards that Jordan Love had. He was at a 7.1 average. The only people above him was Brock Purdy at 8.6 yards, Bryce Young at 8.8, Trevor Lawrence at 10.7 yards, and Anthony Richardson at 17.3 with 19 attempts. I think he only completed the ball 9 times, but he threw like 3 50-yard bombs. So, a vertical passing game coming at us. But I think that Jordan Love can compete because my man was 7.1 average with 34 attempts, right? So we can't forget that he was still chucking the ball around. I think Matt, will definitely lean on the run a little bit more this game. But even if Jordan Love does play, I think Matt could, concoct a game plan where he's in the pistol 80% of the time, where he's still standing up. We can give Josh Jacobs an odd even take at the line. You can go left or right, and we could still run that play action game, kind of like how, Matthew Stafford was working it last night with the Rams. We could still run the play action game coming downhill without having Jordan Love sit underneath the center, with his knee having a backpedal and just kind of fluctuate between shotgun pistol.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, I'm going to try to stay away from the game planning because we've got plenty of time this week to do that. But on the surface, I bet you guys can't guess how I hope they play defense. I hope they're showing too high shell. Make sure you meet your run fits and play a lot of zone. Keep your eyes on Anthony Richardson.
That rookie quarterback can throw the ball, man.
Yeah.
He's got an arm.
Make them play underneath. Make him play, because the thing he struggles with, because he's a bulky guy, he's very muscular. He struggles layering those passes in. He struggles with the touch throws. Right. Make him play left-handed. If you come out and you're playing cover 1 man and you're giving him deep shots, he's got a freaking cannon. And if you're playing cover 1 man, guess what's going to happen? All but maybe 2 defenders are going to have their back to the quarterback in coverage, and he is going to run all over you. You're going to have flashbacks of Colin Kaepernick, I promise you.
Got to make him uncomfortable.
Got to. So let's go on to offensive rushing yards per attempt. Looky here, boys. Green Bay. And it ain't even close. 7.8 yards per rushing attempt. Leading the way, the entire NFL. Second is the LA Chargers at 6.5. Then third is Baltimore, 5.8. Tennessee, 5.4. Houston, 5.3. Detroit, 5.3. Arizona 5.0. Indianapolis is in the 12th spot at 4.7, actually tied for 11th. Emilio, the running game was cooking against Philly.
That's pretty shocking looking at that number, because I know what the Chargers want to do with Harbaugh there, and that's run the ball. I mean, I think they gave the dude like 35 attempts or 40, something like that. They ran the ball like crazy. So we are above the teams that their MO is run the ball. We're above Chargers, above Baltimore. Detroit talks about running the ball. I like that. I think Matt's going to see that, obviously his own numbers, but just kind of see that we do have that in the team. We can run the ball. We don't have to put it on Jordan's shoulders. I know I want to. We want to be able to do that, but got to be give and take always.
Yeah, and with this 7.8, there's some people that are going, yeah, but Jaden Reed had that 33-yarder. Right. Yeah. Remember what I said about Josh Jacobs? Josh Jacobs alone averaged 5.3 yards a carry. Remove Emmanuel Wilson and his 4 carries for 7,000 yards, whatever it was. Remove Jaden Reed, and you just put Josh Jacobs' yards per attempt in here. We're still tied for 5th in the league.
Right. Yeah. I mean, remember Xavier Worthy did that with the Chiefs. Where are they on this list?
Bingo.
Yeah,
Bingo.
Exactly. Great point.
Yeah. So the running game, man, seems to be all right. We're not really missing Aaron Jones, although Aaron Jones had a great game, right? That's the other thing.
Morgan in for the runs.
Where's Minnesota at, right? Like, seriously, because I'm pretty sure Aaron Jones is leading running backs in the league for yards per attempt, but where are they as a team, right? They're going to – I'm telling you, I'm not wishing this on 33, but they're going to run him into the ground is what's going to happen. And we know he's getting older. He's banged up. I would be very, very surprised if he makes it through the year if they're going to use him like a bell cow. I think he only had like 14 carries, but the way he runs, man, he runs so hard. And I don't want to say reckless because that sounds negative, but that dude, it's just reckless abandon. When he hits the hole, he's not scared of contact. He's going to throw his body in there. It's going to toll. It's going to add up, man. It really is. So again,
that was one thing we always dealt with him was load management. We were always conscious of that during his Packer years. So we'll see how the Vikings treat him, Yeah.
So quick recap. Again, points per play, Green Bay is 8th. Yards per play, they're 1st. Rushing yards per attempt, they're 1st. Now passing. Move on to the passing game here. This is passing yards per attempt, okay? They come in at the number 14 spot at 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Okay, so you fall out of the top 10 there. Just shows you how important the running game was, rushing yards per attempt there against Philly. We want to bring that up. But here's what's beautiful. The Indianapolis Colts are going to go watch that tape from the Philly game. They're going to, okay, we need to watch Jaden Reed on the jet reverse, on the jet sweep. We're going to have to watch this aspect of the running game, right? That's setting everything up for play action. Well, if Malik Willis does start this week, I'm telling you right now, minimize, dumb down that playbook, and it better be absolutely loaded to the gills with play action rollout and bootleg plays. It's got to be. Use his wheels on the perimeter, get him out on the perimeter, and I'm telling you, if they key in on the running game, which I think that'll be their game plan, they're going to try to make Malik Willis beat us. If they key in on that running game and you're running a lot of boot action off of it, you could put yourself in a position to win a ball game with Malik Willis as a starter. I really believe that. He's not going to win. He's not going to win you the game getting to the third read, on a dagger concept. Where he's going to win you the game is mixing a little RPO. You can't go too RPO heavy with him, but run a lot of running game and play action off of it. Show a lot of jet motion, man. Try to confuse them and get guys out of their run fits that way. But does this surprise you guys? Because to me, it really didn't per attempt, because Jordan Love's accuracy was off. There's no two ways about it. Some people were blaming the surface. I don't know why the reason was, but he was definitely inaccurate. Also, you had a bunch of drops too. Dontavion Wicks had a couple drops. There were several people that had drops in that game. So with that being said, this number really doesn't surprise me. I kind of expected him to be right around the top 10. Might be a little lower than I expected, but again, at 7.4, they're right behind Washington, Jacksonville, Detroit, and Vegas there, who were just outside of the top 10 as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair shake. Everyone else is trying to pass the ball too, so I'm not mad at him, and I think Matt, once the offense starts to hum a little bit more, we'll be able to hit some of those deep balls. Remember Jordan pushed the ball down the field so much at the beginning of the season last year. Maybe he's trying to reel him in just a smidge from that and say, hey, let's ease you into that, and then we can start hitting those deep balls. Maybe not put it all on tape the first week either.
Yeah. And if you take all these numbers, Tim, all those rankings, and we just talked about it, points per play, you were 8th, right? Then let's see. So let me retally this up. So we were 8th in points per play, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were 1st in yards per play. We were 1st in rushing yards per attempt, and then we were 14th in passing yards per attempt, right? Divide that by 4. If you take all those into consideration, we're the 6th ranked offense in the NFL right now. So it's right around we expect, right? Let's get that passing game a little amped up when Jordan comes back. Let's don't try to fix that this week, okay? Let's just press into this run just a touch. And there's some people that still believe there's a chance he plays. Somebody put a tweet up. I can't remember who did it earlier, but they put a tweet up of the quarterbacks that played. That missed 0 time with an MCL sprain. And it was wild, man. Like his grade of an MCL sprain, I don't know if there's ever been a quarterback that missed a game over it. That's crazy to think about. I'm not expecting it because they just signed a $220 million contract and they're going to protect that investment. But
all I'm saying is
it would be. Well, go ahead, Emilio.
All I was going to say was he's already got 18, 19, 20 games or something towards Brett Favre's Iron Man. Why are we gonna cut that off now? No. We might as well keep the. He's already got 18. We're not going to cut him off now.
What I was thinking, wouldn't it be the ultimate gamesmanship for Coach LaFleur to talk to the press about how Malik Willis is doing a great job preparing for Sunday all week, and then on Sunday, Jordan Love trots out on the field and is the starter, kind of throw the Colts off balance a little bit, have them prepping for a backup, and then QB1 emerges.
Well,
you never know.
Tim, that's the point right there. What is everyone worried about? Malik Willis can't throw, right? What can the dude do? The dude can run the ball. So that's a change of pace backup, right? If it's not Jordan Love can hum it. He can run when needed. Malik Willis is completely different. Then the defense got to worry about trying to stop a mobile quarterback. Jordan Love plays, it's a wrap, Yep.
It's a good point, man. It's a good point. You never know. That would explain why he was so vocal about Malik Willis as our starter. Malik Willis is our starter.
But, I mean, it's a complete difference. I mean, Jordan Love and Malik Willis are not the same quarterback, so you got to completely either change your defense or game plan against it differently.
Yeah. Yep. Checking in on the poll question, who is your pick to have the best performance in week 2 for the Packers? Leading the way, Josh Jacobs, 51%. Jaden Reed in second place at 28%. Rashawn Gary in third place at 11%. And Xavier McKinney in fourth at 10%. So everybody thinking Josh Jacobs and Jaden Reed got a good opportunity to shine in this game here. So let's move on to defense, shall we? All right, so this is defense points per play. All right, this is points allowed per play. Green Bay 23rd at 0.45. All right.
Me no like that, Jan.
Not that good. Now, again, where did we finish last year? Somewhere around 12th or 13th, right? And again, I know people don't want to hear it, but I'm going to be comparing it to last year all year long because it's important to understand, did we get better or did we get worse? This is one metric. I think it's the most important statistic. I know there's people, they love their DVOA and they love their total yard. We're going to hit on some of the other stuff, but defensive points per play is where it's at. At the end of the game, you don't look up and go, okay, guys, who had the most rushing yards? That's the winner. That's not how the game's played.
Football comes down to time and score.
That's it. You got it. So does that surprise you they were that low? Because to me, that doesn't surprise me. I was the whole time going, this defense has not played well.
No.
Yeah, I don't think this is – if anything, I'm surprised they weren't even lower.
Right. And like I said before, I think that it's just a perfect opportunity to only get better. I don't think he ever wants them to drop this low again. But, like Tim said, I think we're kind of happy being 23.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When you take everything into consideration, the slip by McKinney that could have batted that ball on the Saquon touchdown, ifs and buts for candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right?
Right.
But there were a lot of plays, the kind of fluky things that happened there too. That's like, okay, the Jaire defensive holding, many people don't think that was a penalty. He grabbed him. I can understand the argument. Hey, did he really impact the play? I get that, but the rules are the rules. It's hard for me to argue when the rule says you can't grab him after 5 yards and Jaws out there with a handful of jersey. Now, I know this guy.
The rule also says we can call offensive pass interference too. And
that's a good point.
There was a lot of hand fighting in the middle and top of that route. So, again, this guy here on the screen doesn't understand that sometimes the best call is no call. There's a call. He's making a call right there. He's calling his agent, trying to get another season of Reno 911 working for him.
What an excellent show, too, man. That skit where they got his face blurred out, he gets pulled over for drunk driving. You ever seen that one? Where she's walking him through the sobriety test. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember that. Yeah.
And he's literally mimicking everything. He said, if you add in to the end, you give a couple leg kicks. And he turns around, takes his hat off, and goes, "Yeah." And that cop goes, "You're pretty good. You dance a lot." "No, I'm just drunk." She went, "Oh, put your hands behind your money." Such a good skit. So anyway, defensive points per play, 23rd is where Green Bay ranks.
And with the Jets last night, what they get, there was like 60, 70 plays that they had against them. So I really am not mad about where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm. Could have been worse. I really believe that. All right, defensive yards per play. That's points per play, 23rd. Yards per play. Green Bay jumps up a couple spots here to number 20 at 5.5 yards per play. They're actually tied for 19th on that metric right there. And again, yards per play, exactly what it sounds like. Take up the total plays on defense, how many total yards, you divide it by that. That's how many yards they average giving up per play. The best defense in the league was Tennessee against Caleb Williams. That's hilarious. Sorry, I just had to pause for dramatic effect. 2.8 yards per play there. Dallas second at 3.3. Seattle tied for second at 3.3. New Orleans 3.5. Minnesota 3.5. Chicago 4.0. So Chicago's defense, they did look legit. I ain't going to lie. But again, back to the Packers, 20th in yards, tied for 19th in yards per play. Does that catch you guys off guard? Does that sound about right? Did you think it'd be better or worse? What?
I think we're pretty much on par there. What do you think, Emilio?
Yeah, with the 2-3 explosives, 30 some yard run, a 70-yard pass, I would say that I'm pretty happy with only 5.5.
Yeah. I think we ended up giving 5 explosives up, if I counted right. So 5 explosive plays total in the game.
20-yard pass.
Why we lost?
20-yard pass, 15-yard run, or 12-yard run? Or?
20-yard pass, 10+ yard run. I think is the technical. It's what it's supposed to be. Now, Warren Sharp, who does a phenomenal job with analytics in the NFL community, he just couples them together and says any play over 15 yards he considers an explosive. I can understand that too. I would kind of think of that too. 15+ yard gain, pretty solid. So again, defensive yards per play, Green Bay in the 20th spot. Rushing defense, yards per attempt given up. This is one of the positive notes here, okay? Against the run, Green Bay finished 10th in the league at 3.8 yards per rush. Pretty damn impressive. To me, that was a significant increase from last year. So what you've seen, it's just week 1. But going into this game, we talked about Philly's running game. Jeff Hafley did a pretty good job shutting it down. He really did.
Yeah, other than the Saquon factor, right? Two tutters, 100 yards on the ground. Saquon doing Saquon things. So all things considered, I think being at number 10 on this list is pretty good. I think it was refreshing because you saw them flash at times, right, Clayton? That run D looked real stout for a while and, kind of giving us a flash of the future, hopefully, where they can do this consistently and be really good against the run.
Yeah. I'm looking at the rushing here on Next Gen. So Saquon ran left 7 times, wide left 7 times for 44 yards. Inside left, he had 3 attempts for 6 yards and a touchdown. Inside right, 12 attempts, 54 yards and a touchdown. And then wide right, 2 attempts, 5 yards. Rashawn was locking that down, let me tell you. Inside right and wide left. looks like we were getting a little gashed there. But us being top 10 in run defense is everything everyone's wanted from this team since,
since before you were born there.
Exactly. There we go.
You were knee high to a grasshopper. So again, Green Bay defense, opponent yards per rush attempt, week 1. They are 10th in the league at 3.8. Let's move on to passing defense, yards per pass attempt. Notice that list got a little bit bigger. Green Bay is 25th, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. First place, of course, playing Caleb Williams, Tennessee, right? So Caleb Williams was historically bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Bears fans are running so many victory laps that they won that game because Will Levis gave it to them. What's crazy is they were talking like, Tennessee's a great team. I'm going, when did Tennessee become an elite team? What are y'all talking about? Like, listen, they could beat the Packers with a backup. I get it. I understand. But to pretend like all of a sudden the Tennessee Titans defense is the 85 Bears because your number 1 overall pick stunk to join up. Let's stop telling stories outside of school here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So Green Bay 25th in passing defense, yards per pass attempt at 7.8. So you've seen that number drop as well from last year's average. Okay. So again, does that catch you guys off guard? Any thoughts, any comments there?
I think this is more par for the course after what we saw. I really do. I think it's pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts pushed it down. That 67-yarder was over 30 yards. I mean, he barely missed inside a 10 to the line of scrimmage. I mean, dude he's a good quarterback. We just hoped that it wasn't going to come to fruition just for week 1, just so that we could sneak by and let him go deal with the NFC East and the rest of the league. But, it just didn't work out that way. So, Hapley's got great tape to look at and to work on and show them. And I'm sure that everyone on the plane back was, all right, let me get my cut-ups of, my 10 yards and in covers, my third down covers, all that stuff. Because, they want to get better and find something to, work on too.
Yeah, definitely. And, the other thing too, if you take away that 67-yarder A.J. Brown had, these numbers change dramatically.
Right? Oh, big time. Yep.
So that's why those explosives are so huge, man. It is. Yeah, I mean, that's.
And it was only the third. So we attempted 4 passes over 20 yards. Jalen attempted 3, only completed 1. Jordan attempted 4, completed 3 of those. So, I mean, we want to push it down there, but man, if we just didn't have that one, and would be happy too because his stat line would look great.
Oh, yeah, he trust me, he's not happy that happened.
Right.
And he also had that 20-yarder he gave up where he missed the tackle on the curl route on like a 3rd and 8, right?
Yeah,
so you take those 2 plays, that's 87 yards. 87 yards off of that stat line. It's a totally different ballgame. So that's why
that first one was tough too because Ja was playing how he's comfortable. He was playing off. He had time on that route, and it still got rolled.
Playing off, gave up a ton of yak, missed the tackle.
Yep.
Playing up on him, out and up, burnt to a crisp. It's like, bub, we got to do something good here. We got to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And again, Stokes seemed to hold his own. Now, Stokes wasn't guarding A.J. Brown either. He wasn't covering A.J. Brown. So A.J. Brown's solid. I will say this, though, Javon Bullard tattooing him. Ooh, boy, I love seeing it. Stood over him a little bit like, oh, man, what's wrong down there? You okay? Get up. And listen, Bullard didn't have a great game. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But I think you could tell Bullard belongs in the NFL. Like it's not going to be too big for him.
He just shows the pop in his game. Like we were just saying, A.J. Brown is a big dude. That's not an easy guy to just lay out like that.
Bring the thump to him, stop him in his tracks type thing.
Yep.
And if you take away the 67-yarder and the 20-yarder, right, those 87 yards there on 2 plays, and you forget they even happened, and then you take the comments of people who are saying, I feel like the defense played pretty good. That's what they're talking about. Like, minus those 2 plays, they did play pretty solid. Like, it's just those are 2 big ones. Big ones.
And my question is just how often are we going to give up those kind of explosives this year, right? Is it going to be a once a game thing? Is it going to be once every other game? Like this game, is it going to be twice a game against good people? So I just wonder what it's going to look like. I'm excited to get another game down, so that we can get a little bit of an average working out and see what this team's going to be moving forward.
Yep.
So if you took those 4 key defensive statistics there, okay, same as we did with offense, we did defense points per play, where Green Bay was 23rd, defensive yards per play, Green Bay was 20th, defensive rushing yards per attempt allowed, Green Bay was 10th, and then defensive passing yards per attempt, 25th. You average that out over 4, you come up with the 19th best defense in the league. So right now, what we're showing is offensively 6th, defensively 10th. Now, that doesn't include turnovers. I didn't look at the turnovers on offense, but here are your takeaways per game. Green Bay is tied for the lead in the league. There's 6 teams that had 3 takeaways this week. So that's a plus. You're already seeing that. Okay, if you don't give up those 2, I hate to keep coming back to it, but if you don't give up those 2 explosives, I'm telling you, man, 3 takeaways, you're probably winning that ball game, and that's a whole. You're climbing into the top 10 in defense, probably.
And if you get tutters instead of field goals off of those turnovers, that'll help you too. So
red zone offense.
Yeah, that was the thing that was alarming to me, is we just didn't look as efficient in the red zone as normal. I kept waiting for, you see those red zone plays, you figure 1 or 2 snaps and we're in there, the way LaFleur's been calling it these last couple of years. And I just felt like we were a little out of sorts there.
Yeah. And I mean, we already got a good jump on last year. We were 1.1 per game. So I like the start.
Amen.
Yep, definitely. And again, it's like Drew says here in the chat, the Eagles are also a very good team. Wait until we play bad teams. Amen, Drew. These numbers are going to get better when you play bad teams. There's no doubt about it. As long as you're not playing from behind because we're having to play with a backup quarterback, right? That's where it's important to get that running game established, shut down their run, get a slight early lead, play from ahead, and make them make the mistakes. That's going to be huge. So, but I agree, man. The Eagles are a good team. They're a solid team, no doubt about it. All right, so there is your offensive and defensive rankings. I want to do that every week. I want to make that kind of like maybe even the Monday or probably the Tuesday show, because I think it's important to keep our finger on the pulse there, as we move forward for sure. Let's go to power rankings. We had a couple of different websites, I guess you could say, do power rankings. 33rd team, here is their updated power rankings heading into week 2. And this was, I believe, Marcus Mosher over at the 33rd team that did his power rankings. Okay. So here we go. Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. Number 3, the Detroit Lions. Number 4, the Houston Texans. 5, the Baltimore Ravens. 6, the Buffalo Bills. 7, the Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas Cowboys are at number 8. And number 9 is the Green Bay Packers. Again, this is according to the 33rd team. I feel like that's a pretty good, Now, with or without Jordan Love, that needs to be put into context here. I think they're just saying overall, if Jordan was playing, here's the team's power rankings, right? But I think that's pretty fair. How do you guys feel about that from the 33rd team?
I feel like that's fair for the Packers, I think. I think the Jets are a little high on that list. I think the Bears might be a little bit high on that list too. But, looking at that top 10, that seems pretty 1 through 10 seems pretty accurate to me.
The Saints being at 22 kind of surprised me, because the Saints, who did they play? Do we know who they played Sunday? Because they absolutely boat raced them, didn't they?
I don't remember.
Yeah, didn't they win by like 40 points?
Never ask a question you don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Anyway, how do you feel about this, Emilio?
Yeah, I mean, we've been begging all off season for top 10. We're still there right now. I think that, we still kind of showed it. But I mean, it's wild how many teams, are still in that same division. We got us in Detroit. You got Cowboys and Eagles. You got Miami and Bills. A lot of teams in the same division are all top 10, rankings, just according to this guy, right? But still, I mean, there's a lot of firepower in certain divisions, and I'm happy that we're up there still, right? We just got to keep showing it.
Yeah,
Yep.
shout out to everybody in the chat. Drew D, J. Cole, 2-0 for this. Donovan Schilling, everybody said it was the Panthers. The Saints played. So,
Yep.
like 2-0 for this says, though the Panthers didn't really play, they just took the field. So, yeah, so we'll see. Again, next week we'll get a little bit better idea of how well they look. Now, y'all ready for the bad power ranking from NFL on Fox? This is ugly. Check this out. They have Green Bay 14th and the Jets 13th. So their power rankings go. Kansas City 1, San Francisco 2, Lions 3, Texans 4, Eagles 5, Ravens 6, Bills 7, Cowboys 8th, Rams 9, Buccaneers 10th, Bengals 11th, Dolphins 12th, Jets 13th, and the Packers 14th, with the Bears right on their heels at number 15.
Notice how nobody put their name on this one.
I was looking for that, Tim. I don't really see. So this one probably just trying to get some interaction. They had Green Bay.
Is this the Chat GPT power ranking?
That robot, dude. It's that robot that always pops up every,
Oh yeah, the Fox.
Yeah,
Fox
he was
robot.
the one that picked these things. Big fingers hit the wrong button, man. I can't believe Bengals are up that high.
Bro, how about the Bears winning and dropping 2 spots? Love it.
Well, I mean, that's appropriate. I mean,
The Bears still suck.
So they've got Green Bay dropped more than any other team. They dropped 8 spots. Maybe they are taking into consideration Jordan Love going to be missing time. Just trying to play devil's advocate. Still seems a little low. We'll see. Hey, I hope everybody.
Malik Willis has a 136 passer rating on Sunday.
Could you imagine if he comes out and just balls out? That'd be hilarious.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Tupac LaFleur on the sideline smoking a lung dart.
Yeah.
Take the headset off.
12 of 15. That's all he needed. We get 45 rushes out of Emmanuel and Josh, and we just marched down. The game's over in like an hour and a half because we just ran the clock
You're
out.
going to see Tupac LaFleur running some 22 personnel.
Exactly. So if you took the 9 and the 14 there, right, and you averaged them out, and they got Green Bay. Both of these together would have Green Bay right around the 11th spot. Borderline top 10 team. So I think that's about right, man. Top 10, hovering around the top 10 the way it sits right now. We got to prove a lot of stuff, man. Got to get the defense buttoned up. Again, the offense I'm happy with. Really tickled to death with the run game. Even if you remove the Jaden Reed run, still as a team ran the ball really well. Emmanuel Wilson might end up being one of the best number 2 backs in the league, man. Really,
Right.
I'm excited to see more of him because he balled out. All right. Let's move along here. We're almost finished. We're at the hour 16 mark. Y'all we got a bunch of people in here. Take a quick second, hit that like button for us. We would greatly appreciate it. Feel free to sub to the channel. We go live daily talking Packers. And I know we get a lot of subs and a lot of people coming through from the opposing teams that week, too. We'll be covering your team a lot. I had a lot of Eagles fans in here last week. Absolutely awesome. Good conversation. Nobody was being a-holes. Everybody was getting along. It's cool. So we'll probably have some Colts fans roll through this week, too, which I think is really cool. All right. This is really cool. I want to give a shout out to Nerding on NFL. They did this graphic. Hopefully they do it every week. This is kind of what I'm referring to as the week 2 master sheets. So you got the entire schedule with the times in which these teams play. In the middle column, you got the standings currently, right? And then on the far right, you got the statistical leaders, most passing yards, most rushing yards, everything. Pretty cool setup. Is that not clean, guys?
It looks like a call sheet, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely awesome.
This is what Clayton walks around the house with, talking to Mandy.
Exactly.
They can steal your calls.
Yeah, right. Covering my mouth. What do you want for dinner, man? No, cover your mouth, man. What do you want for dinner? They're watching. So Thursday night this week, you got Bills at the Dolphins. Then starting with the 1:00 slates on Sunday, you've got Browns at the Jaguars. You got Raiders at the Ravens, Jets at the Titans. That'll be another one to watch right there to see if the Jets are legit and should be considered borderline top 10 team, which I think is just hilarious at this point. And were the Titans really that bad too, right? Or how's their defense going to play? That's going to be the big thing, Emilio. Right now, it seems like the Titans' strength is their defense. So we're going to be down there, obviously, week 3 to watch them play. Chargers at the Panthers. You've got the San Francisco 49ers at the Vikings. Let's see if the Vikings are legit or not. We're going to find out this week, baby. New York Giants at the Washington Commanders. If you guys want a good nap, tune into that one. And then you got the Saints at the Cowboys. We got the Buccaneers at the Lions. Buccaneers look pretty good, if I remember correctly, last Sunday. You've seen them in some of those statistical standings there offensively. And then we got Colts at Lambeau, Seattle at New England, which, by the way, New England winning that first game on the road against Cincy. That was one of the big upsets this week. So, again, our game, obviously, the Colts at the Packers. We're going to be diving into that preview starting tomorrow. We'll have all the updated betting lines. We'll show you the PFF lineup matchups, all that good stuff. Obviously, I think tomorrow, Tim, don't we get our first injury report? Am I thinking right, fellas?
Usually, yeah. Wednesday. Yeah.
So we should see our first injury report. We'll start kind of zeroing in on the game. Now, when you look at the standings, obviously, it's just one game in. The Packers are the only team in the North without a win. Again, they probably face the toughest opponent this week outside of maybe Detroit. Detroit had a pretty rough game there, a pretty tough matchup. So this is what's really cool. When you look over at the passing leaders, rushing leaders, receiving leaders, look at the most receiving yards in the NFL, guys. Jaden Reed leading the way at 138 yards. Ooh. He's ahead of Tariq Hill, Pierce with the Colts, Williams with the, I think that's Jameson Williams, right, with the Lions at 121, and then A.J. Brown with the Eagles at 119 thanks to Jaire Alexander. So Jaden Reed, 138 yards leading the league in receiving, man. That was not on my bingo card. Most offensive yards per game, Green Bay, third in the league at 414 yards per game offensively. And, that's another statistic that kind of sticks out there. Got to get the defense buttoned up and just got to figure out a way to win one or two of these next 3 games until Jordan definitely comes back. I think there's a decent chance he comes back for the Titans game. I think he'll definitely be back for the Vikings game, barring any setback. But, again, I wouldn't completely – the way Towser was talking earlier today, and he said that I think he said he talked to people in the building. He said, I'm not saying Jordan Love's going to play this week. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if he plays this week. So
I mean, he's already got 20 games towards the Ironman. So I don't know why we would.
This guy.
Emilio says, march him out there for the first series and sit him the rest of the Ironman stays intact. Anything as far as these games, what sticks out to you guys? Anything you want to hit on there as we get ready to wrap up?
I think it'd be kind of interesting to after we watch the Packers beat the Colts here, tune into that Denver Pittsburgh game, watch the dumpster fire bowl there with the Russell Wilson bowl, if you will. We all remember how that whole debacle happened. Yeah, and you talk about. Obviously Sean Payton's got things working a little differently there in Denver now, which probably a big reason why Russell Wilson's not there anymore. But I think that would be kind of fun to watch on the AFC side.
Yeah. Greg Rice says, I don't know why we would play him if it's a grade 2. I'm not hearing it's a grade 2. I'm hearing it's closer to a grade 1 than a grade 2.
It was a 1. That was what they said, right? A 1/2, somewhere in between the two, maybe a grade 1.5. I don't know.
And the way it was described to me was it was closer to a 1 than a 2, but we're kind of splitting ligaments there.
Telling me there's a chance.
Go ahead, Emilio. What were you going to say? But I'm sorry, cutting you off.
Obviously we're Bucs fans. I'm kind of excited to see how Vikings play against San Fran. Jets put up a fight last night, but San Francisco's a good team. We don't want to admit it, but they're pretty decent. So I'm excited to see that and see if Cowboys can keep it rolling. Before you button up, let me just put this question out there and see what the chat thinks. Who was the fastest ball carrier on our team last game?
Fastest ball carrier on our team.
Let that sit for a second. We can circle back before we end.
Let that simmer down now. All right. So there was something I was going to say there. As far as the games this week, right, and what to watch for. That 1 o'clock, we're going to be watching Packers, obviously. We'll be kind of keeping an eye on, like you said, the Niners and the Vikings. When do the Lions play? They're a 1 o'clock window, too. So, I'll probably have the try box up there on a Sunday ticket. And then when do the Bears play? That's the Sunday night game. Dude.
Under the lights.
Against Houston, at Houston. In the Stroud house. Let's go. I'm probably going to have a couple of daddy sodas and some pizza that my fat butt doesn't need. But I'm be rooting. I can't eat during the Packers game, man. I get nauseous. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm doing. So, all right. He said Bates says he's going X. I guess he's talking about Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, I think that they would have looked into that number on his return. Yes, but the highest miles per hour for the fastest ball carrier award goes to Mr. Tucker Kraft at 2.94 miles an hour.
No kidding, 19 mile an hour.
Just shy of 19, man. That good.
Woo!
You saw a Bush Latte down there at the end of the field. He was chasing it
I
down.
need that Gatorade. Come on, coach.
That is wild, dude. And listen,
He was cooking.
Thick.
It is, man. Like that's I would hate to get in front of that dude at 19 mile an hour. My goodness, man. So, all right, there's just kind of a week 2 glance. We're going to keep that graphic so we can refer back to it from time to time throughout the week. One other note here. Well, we're way over. We got to go. No Puka for week 5 against the Packers is what it sounds like. Puka Nacua is, he's going to the IR. He's going to miss a 4 games minimum. So Packers, obviously, I like Puka Nacua. He's one of my favorite players in the league. You hate to see him get hurt, but that will help the Packers' chances against the Rams because he's a weapon, man, no doubt. And then we're going to hit on the Dak Prescott contract and kind of break it down a little bit. We'll hit on it later in the week maybe. But he signed a new 4-year contract, $240 million extension, includes $231 million guaranteed. So we got our first $60 million per year quarterback, sounds like there.
We got a comment too. Dak said,
Yeah, here we go.
I bet he did all the way to the bank. Did you see the video of him at the food truck, though?
no.
After he signed the contract, he's hanging out. I think it was his lady friend, his wife, whatever, fiance. But they were out there hitting up the food truck. I like Dak. I'm sorry. I know people hate the Cowboys, but I really like Dak. I loved his whole approach to the national anthem and everything. And it was, listen, everybody has a right to stand up for what they believe in. I wholeheartedly believe. I think that's why people sacrifice their lives and gave us the freedom to do that. But the fact that Dak stuck his neck out there and was like, I'm standing for the anthem, I thought that was cool, and it was brave. So, I really like Dak.
Definitely.
Until he plays the Packers.
Yeah.
And then it's
he's a good franchise quarterback, the way he carries himself, things like that. So good, good friend, got his money. Same as Jordan, right? Good guy that, you like, you care about. He's part of your team, and you got to pay him.
Yeah. 2-0 for this in the chat said the presidential debate tonight is fake. Ed Policy won't be on stage. I love it, dude. I love it. All right, we're out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. One last look at our man here.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
over. All right, there you go.
Take his flags away.
Help me out here, Tim.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world.
Bon dia.
And go, Pack, go.